that quietly works behind the screens to make it, to keep it stable, secure for everyone. This organization is called ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, as Santosh just outlined. So they ensure that no two domains in the internet are the same. And they ensure a .com is .com, and they want everyone to have a fair access to a digital identity in the online space that they can get. For this, I'll invite Samiran to take us through. His colleague, Bob, is going to join.
Okay, great. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you to MeitY, NIXI, and of course LdotR for putting together this session. But I also want to particularly thank my previous two speakers, for opening the innings, as it were, so beautifully. They've already spoken about what ICANN does, so it's made my speaking objectives a little more easier. But I'll just, my colleague Bob is somewhere out there, possibly online. He was supposed to have joined, but I think I can manage it without him. But if it really gets tough, if you guys ask me real tough questions, then I'm going to throw it to Bob. So with that, let's get started. So what I'm going to talk about today is the DNS ecosystem, the new GTLD program, the basic applicant journey, and of course some sample use case studies, and something called the applicant support program. And right at the end, before the Q&A, what are the timelines and what are the resources which are already available. Now, as you already heard, ICANN's role is to coordinate the unique identifiers of the internet, so which includes names, numbers, and the protocol parameters. And the DNS, or the domain name system, works in a hierarchical model. So the top level domain, everything right off the door, is right at the key of everything. And one of ICANN's responsibilities is to kind of take care of that root zone file. So that's called the root zone, right? So you can't just keep that open perpetually and have anybody buy or set up a domain name over there. It has to be protected. It has to be made sure that those that come into that root zone, those top level domains, are meet all the security standards, meet all the standards for making it interoperable, and so on and so forth. Okay, so as you've already heard, in 2012 we had opened this round for the first time in a public manner. But before we go there, let me just tell you a little bit about the DNS industry roles. So there are three broad players. If you were to really look at this from a 1,000 feet level, or actually 100,000 feet level, there are three broad players. There are the registry operators, those who live right off the dot. So .in, .com, .net, they are the registry operators. And of course, part of what they do is they maintain the master databases of all domain names registered in that particular top-level domain. There are other things they do, but that's the key thing. Now, the registry operator is, they need to be able to get people to buy into that registry or subscribe or get a domain name on that registry. So you have registrars. The registrars, think of it as they are the retail front end to get a domain name. So you've heard of companies like GoDaddy or whatever. There are other companies, and those are the companies which actually interact with the registrant, such as yourself, when you're looking for a domain name. Okay, so the registrar is an organization through which individuals and entities register domain names. Okay, So during the registration process, a registrar verifies that the requested domain name meets registry requirements and submits the name to the appropriate registry operator. So actually, when one of you want to get a domain name for your business, for your personal use, you go to a registrar and say, is this name available? Can I get it? And then they will find if it is available, they'll search for it. And then if it is, then they get in touch with the registry operator and, of course, set up a subscription for you to get it. Now, this ecosystem is obviously interrelated, and ICANN has contractual relations with the registry and the registrar, and of course the registrar has contractual relations with the registry, and the registrar has contractual relations with the registrant. So when you get a domain name, you have an agreement with the registrar, all right? I don't know how visible this slide is, but if you see, this over here, the service provider, you will get, and I think some of my colleagues who will present after this gentleman right here, he kind of fits into both these categories, Patrick. So I will let him speak about what the service provider's role is and how it is important when we are looking at new GTLDs. And of course, you have, the registrar then can appoint resellers. There are a lot of the Indian market has a lot of resellers who actually front end the contact process of selling a domain name. So let's talk about the next round program. Now, what are top-level domains? As I already mentioned, things that live on right of the dot are top-level domains. From 2012, there's been an expansion. There are non-ASCII top-level or non-Latin script top-level domains, including .Bharat, as Santosh already mentioned. All 22 Indian scripts are available as top-level domains. Okay. Now, in 2012, we went from something like 21 top-level domains to about 1,200. And some of these you've already seen in India. For example, .fit. If the chain of gyms known as cult.fit uses this TLD. .geo is actually a top-level domain. Okay, they've not used it publicly, but .geo exists as a top-level domain. .sbi is obviously the most visible Indian TLD, and there's also .state bank, which belongs to State Bank of India. All right. So, and you can also see there are different categories. For example, you have cities which have got branded .Paris, .London, etc. And then you also have, such as .football, something which is a sport or a community activity, which has a top-level domain. So, Santosh has already spoken about this, and as has Vinay, but since it's on the slide and the slide is ours, I get to speak about it also. What are the benefits of operating a GTLD? So the biggest benefit right on top is brand management. And when you have your own GTLD, you can decide how you want to use it. I'll let Stuart speak about it because he gave some great examples. So I'll let him speak about that. And also flexibility and creativity, that's also Stuart's kind of area. Localization. So localization is, you could be a multinational organization Or you could be a startup as well with multiple multiple locations. And you can actually localize it to that kind of geographic location. You can control the security. There are obviously monetization opportunities, but related to brand management is the increased credibility. They're kind of interrelated because there is one name for that brand in the namespace. The credibility of the brand also improves. Skip this slide. So what's going on? Who can apply? And when, how much, and how will this application process take place? So legal entities such as corporations, organizations, and institutions, as well as governmental, non-governmental, and intergovernmental entities can apply for a new GTLD. One of the oldest TLDs from the 1990s or maybe even early 1980s is .UN. Okay, the United Nations was one of the earliest ones, but that's an example of an intergovernmental entity. The application process will open in April 2026. However, we have not yet fixed the exact date. That process is ongoing. The cost is US dollars 227,000, and there are certain conditional fees. But there's something else I'd like to mention over here is if ICANN receives more than 1,000 applications, then some part of this 227,000 fee will be reduced. So it's a dynamic process that we are going to follow. There's a chance of some fee reduction in the final outcome. ICANN will have a TLD application management system where this application will need to be submitted. And of course, we have Vivek sitting at the back. He's being a backbencher today. And Vivek is an expert on how to file applications as well. So here are some, there are many, by the way, there are many sample or case studies that I'm not sure why we use the word sample, but there are many case studies that are available on the new GTLD website that ICANN has. They're just a sample of a few that we are sharing over here. The first one is .Microsoft. Again, why did Microsoft apply for .Microsoft? Stuart will tell us more. Here's what we know. So I'll let Stuart speak to it. But yes, it's really to create brand recognition and protect their brand, as well as, essentially the first usage was for the Microsoft 365 and software as a service application. All of that goes through the .Microsoft. .Amsterdam. Now, this is what we call a geo-TLD. This is to brand a city, okay? And again, this is how they've used it for branding the city, and it's been used by local entities as well, which do business in Amsterdam. .Bank, one of the most successful TLDs. A lot of banks globally are, use the .Bank, and it's the category is community, and of course, as of 31st August 2024, approximately 40% of banks in the US use a .bank domain. Now in India, I understand that NIXI has a similar program for .bank.in, where a lot of PSU banks have moved their websites addresses to. Okay. Here's another geo TLD, which is a mix of geo and community, which is .Berlin. So .Berlin was created to provide a local identity for Berliners, in addition to delivering a trusted namespace and eliminating scarcity of good names. Okay, so that's the way they looked at and why they got .Berlin. So every geo TLD has a purpose, those which are in use. And you can actually go to our website and you can see some of the case studies which we published. Now, for certain kinds of entities, we have something called the Applicant Support Program. Okay? So the Applicant Support Program is for nonprofits or those communities which might not be able to afford a top-level domain. For example, a small island nation, okay, the internet is their only connectivity to the outside world, and how do they identify themselves? So they are encouraged, so there are categories within the ASP program. Again, all those details are available online where companies can apply. At this time, this application is open. This application round, this is like a pre-vetting round with the ASP program, and it is open right now. As of a few weeks ago, as of 10th July, we've received 60 applications from all over the world. 18 of those, or is that 16 or 18? Or maybe 16. 16 of those are from the Asia Pacific region. Okay, and there is the purpose of the ASP program is to pre-qualify them. They will still have to, those who are pre-qualified will still have to participate in the next round process and then go through the string evaluation and all of that. For all applicants, we have a program called the Pro Bono Service Providers, and I understand LdotR and Vinay and you are Pro Bono Service Providers. So this is essentially to help the community and those who are keen on applying to get some insights and understand how this process works. So I'm going to get to now this, if you can read this, I'll buy you coffee. But I think what's important over here is there's the application start date. These slides will be shared eventually, so to all registered participants, you'll get to see this better. And then, of course, over here, this is where, when the application process finishes, ICANN starts evaluating them. Okay, and over here, after about 55 odd days, roughly 2 months later, we have something called reveal date. Reveal date means that's the date we are going to publish the list of the finalized, completed applications. Okay, so that the world will know who applied in this round. And once that happens, the submission process the delegation process starts, and there are lots of checks and balances that take place down here. Within ICANN or the ICANN ecosystem, there is the government advisory committee, which has 180 odd countries represented. They too will get to vet these strings and say that there is a problem, or no, this is fine, and all those activities will take place, and eventually we'll have to also look for contentions. It's highly possible that two entities apply for the same string. Now, the last time, this was a very unique and it was a vexing problem for us. So this time we've created some mechanisms so that hopefully there'll be very few contentious sets, and but we'll see how that goes. And eventually there's a lot of go no go kind of situations, but the board signs off. When it gets delegated, it means that the TLD will be available in the in the root zone of the internet, which means that it can be used. Of course, it'll be up to the applicant to start making it available, and how they do it. Those are the rules and regulations they will have. Okay. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. So this slide talks about the process that's ongoing. One of the most important part of this process is something called the applicant guidebook, or AGB. The penultimate version of that guidebook, or what we call the draft, is out there right now for public comments. And essentially that guidebook gives you the rules and regulations of how this application round will proceed. You can see this guidebook, the draft version of this, online. All the timelines are over here on this slide. So what's happening with the applicant guidebook? So the final public comment closes next week, 23rd of July. We opened this process on 30th of May. This closes on 23rd of July. Through August, ICANN.org, that is my colleagues, will be working on the updates following the public comments. And then there are community discussions that take place between August and October. And then the board is briefed during the September to December period. At some point during that period, the board will adopt the guidebook, so that no later than December, we can publish the final guidebook for the next round, right? So that's the process that we are following. And of course, I'm not going to stop here for Q&A, but let me check my colleague Bob, who is online, if he wants to add anything. Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah, Samiran, I hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Loud and
clear.
Bob?
Yeah, there was a bit of an echo there. I think you really covered it. Probably I would be keen on responding to questions for clarifications. I know the applicant journey appears as a complicated, process. Maybe important to highlight that not every application will go through each and every of those steps, but those are the maximum of steps that any application can go through from start to the end. In an ideal scenario where an application goes through seamlessly without any objection or contention, currently we are projecting that such process will take at least or between 13 to 18 months. So you expect the very first delegation at least 18 months after the close of the submission period. So that's the other way of estimating it. But I'm really keen on answering specific questions from the room if there at all is anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. So we'll go to questions much later. So let me hand it back to Vinay. Thank you, Vinay.